Sarah Johnson had never been one to speak her mind. At 13, she was already learning that her words could be turned against her. At school, she was the quiet girl in the back row, the one the teachers barely noticed, the one who clutched her books like shields. At home, she lived under the weight of expectations, her mother demanding perfection, her father giving little more than silence. It was on her 13th birthday that her grandmother, Ruth, pressed a small leather-bound book into her hands. The diary was brown with faded golden edges, its lock tiny and delicate. "This is yours," Ruth whispered, her wrinkled hand covering Sarah's trembling fingers. "Write in it every day. It will hold your truth. It will never betray you." Sarah smiled weakly. At the time, she thought it was just a pretty notebook. She had no idea it would become her lifeline. That night, she opened the diary and wrote for the first time. "Dear Diary, I don't know what to write. Grandma says you won't betray me. I hope that's true, because I don't have anyone else to talk to. Maybe one day, you'll be my best friend. Love, Sarah." And so it began. Over the months, Sarah poured herself into the diary. Every crush, every embarrassment at school, every fight with her mother, nothing was too small to be written down. When her classmates teased her about her dark skin or her kinky hair, she didn't answer back. She saved her fire for the pages. "Dear Diary, they called me burnt toast again today. I didn't cry in front of them, but I wanted to. Sometimes I wish I could be invisible, or beautiful, or both. But you'll understand, right? You always do." The diary became her hiding place. Her father, James Johnson, was a tall man with a stern face, rarely home but always critical when he was. Her mother, Denise, carried herself like a woman who had lost too many battles but refused to admit it. They argued often, their voices low and sharp, but Sarah never wrote about it, until the night she heard something she wasn't supposed to. It was past midnight. Sarah crept down the hallway for water, but froze when she heard her parents in the kitchen. "I can't keep this up, Denise," her father whispered harshly. "They're starting to notice." "They don't know a thing," her mother snapped. "As long as you keep your two lives separate, we'll be fine." 2 lives. Sarah pressed against the wall, her heart racing. She listened as her father mentioned another house, another woman, and a son. The water glass slipped in her hand, shattering quietly against the floor. She ran back to her room, trembling. That night, she wrote with shaking hands. "Dear Diary, I don't even know how to say this. Daddy has another family. I heard it. A woman. A boy. All this time, he's been lying to us. What does that make us? Just his leftovers. I can't tell Mom. She already knows. I can't tell anyone. So I'm telling you." The diary became the keeper of a dangerous truth. Sarah thought her secret was safe. She hid the diary under her mattress, always careful. But one afternoon, when she rushed off to help her mother, her younger brother, Caleb, found it. At first, he laughed at the childish doodles and entries about Sarah's crush on Marcus from math class. But then, halfway through, he froze. "Daddy has another family." His eyes widened. His small hands trembled. He snapped the diary shut, his chest rising and falling. That night, Caleb stared at their father during dinner, his food untouched. "Why you looking at me like that, boy?" James barked. Caleb said nothing, but the truth was now alive in him, heavy and suffocating. Secrets don't stay buried. Caleb, unable to carry the weight, finally burst out one Sunday after church. "Daddy got another family," he shouted, his voice cracking. The table fell silent. Sarah's spoon slipped from her hand. Denise's face drained of color. James slammed his fist on the table. "What foolishness is this?" "It's not foolishness," Caleb yelled. Sarah wrote it in her diary. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The world tilted. All eyes turned to her. "Sarah," her mother whispered, trembling. "What is he talking about?" Sarah felt tears burning her eyes. She wanted to deny it, but the truth was stronger. Her diary had betrayed her, not because it spoke, but because someone else had. The house was never the same after Caleb's outburst. Denise wouldn't speak during meals, staring at her plate like it might answer the question she was too afraid to ask. James became angrier, his voice louder, his footsteps heavier. Sarah barely looked at her brother. Though she didn't blame him entirely, the wound was raw. At night, Sarah turned to her diary. "Dear diary, I feel naked. My words were mine, but now they're weapons. Caleb didn't mean to hurt me, but he did. Daddy won't even look at me, like I did something wrong. Maybe I did. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut, even to you." For the first time, Sarah wondered if the diary was safe. But she couldn't stop writing. It was the only place her pain had somewhere to go. Denise finally confronted James one stormy night. Sarah and Caleb listened from their bedroom as voices clashed. "You lied to me, James. To your children." Denise's cry echoed. "I did what I had to do," James roared. "You think life is easy. You think love is simple. You knew about it, and you stayed." Denise's sobs broke Sarah's heart. She clutched her diary to her chest. Caleb whispered, "They're gonna split up, aren't they?" Sarah didn't answer. James began spending even less time at home. When he was there, tension filled every corner. His presence was like a storm cloud. Caleb avoided him completely. Denise pretended to be strong, but Sarah saw the hollowness in her eyes. One evening, Sarah wrote, "Dear Diary, I used to think Daddy was a hero. I told my friends he worked hard for us. But now, I see him as a shadow. He walks around like a stranger, and when he looks at us, it's like we're the burden. I don't know how to love him anymore." While her home fell apart, school offered no peace. Rumors spread after Marcus saw her crying one day and teased her. Soon, whispers of the girl with a broken family followed her in hallways. Sarah escaped into her diary between classes, scribbling fast before the bell. "Dear Diary, why do they laugh at pain? Why is my sadness a joke? You're the only one who listens without mocking me. If I didn't have you, I don't know where I'd go." Just when she thought she was invisible, a girl named Naomi approached her. Naomi was bold, outspoken, and carried herself with confidence Sarah envied. "You always writing in that book," Naomi said one afternoon at lunch. "What's in there?" Sarah clutched her diary. "Just thoughts." Naomi smiled. "Cool. I got thoughts too, but I say mine out loud. You should try it sometime." That was the beginning of a fragile friendship, one Sarah desperately needed. One night, Sarah wrote something dangerous. "Dear Diary, sometimes I wonder if it would be easier if I just disappeared. If Daddy doesn't want us, and Mom is broken, what's the point of me?" She cried herself to sleep with the diary on her chest. She didn't know Caleb had seen the entry when he sneaked into her room later, still curious. The words terrified him. He didn't tell anyone, but his eyes followed Sarah closely after that. Denise broke one Saturday morning. She sat at the kitchen table in her robe, staring at a cold cup of coffee. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. Sarah sat across from her, scared. "Do what, Mama?" "Hold it all together," Denise said, her voice trembling. "Your father lives another life. And I'm supposed to pretend? No, I can't." Sarah wanted to comfort her, but she didn't know how. That night, her diary caught her ache. "Dear Diary, Mama is breaking. I don't know how to fix her. Maybe no one can. I wish you were a person so you could hug me back." The truth fully unraveled when James's other son, Jordan, showed up at Sarah's school. He was her age, tall, confident, and looked too much like her father to deny. When she locked eyes with him across the hallway, her stomach twisted. That evening, she wrote furiously, "Dear Diary, I saw him. Jordan. My father's other child. His other me. He looked at me like he knew, like we share something I don't want. What am I supposed to do with that?" Naomi noticed Sarah's tears after seeing Jordan. "What's wrong?" she pressed. Sarah hesitated, then whispered, "My dad, he has another family. That boy, Jordan, is his son." Naomi didn't laugh. She didn't gossip. She simply said, "That's messed up. But it's not your fault. Don't you dare carry his shame." For the first time, Sarah felt a friend truly stood with her. Caleb grew angrier each day. "Why do we gotta be the broken ones, huh? Why he get to live two lives and we just stuck with scraps?" Sarah tried to calm him, but his resentment was fierce. He began skipping school, hanging out with older boys who smoked behind the corner store. Sarah feared she was losing him too. Sarah began writing as if the diary itself could answer. "Dear Diary, do you ever feel heavy, carrying all my secrets? Do you ever want to scream them out so I won't explode? Maybe you're alive in a way. Maybe you keep me alive." Though the diary never spoke, Sarah swore the pages felt warmer in her hands that night, as if they were listening more closely than ever. One night, James returned home drunk, slamming doors and yelling. Caleb shouted back, and for the first time, the boy raised his fists at his father. Denise screamed, pulling them apart. Sarah hid in her room, writing with shaking hands. "Dear Diary, we're falling apart. We're not even a family anymore. We're just broken glass cutting each other. I can't breathe here." The next morning, Sarah didn't go to school. She took her diary and wandered the streets until she found herself at Naomi's house. When Naomi's mother welcomed her in with warmth Sarah had never felt at home, she broke down crying. That night, Naomi gave her advice: "Write your pain, but live your truth too. Don't just survive on paper. Survive out here." One evening, Sarah left the diary on her bed. Denise entered to tidy the room and, by accident, opened it. She only read a few lines, but it was enough to see her daughter's despair. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she realized how deeply Sarah was hurting. When Sarah found her mother crying with the diary in her lap, she froze. "You read it," she whispered. Denise hugged her tightly. "I didn't know, baby. I didn't know you were carrying this much." For the first time, mother and daughter wept in each other's arms. The diary's secret had shattered the family, but it also forced the truth into the open. Denise finally filed for separation, deciding she wouldn't live in lies anymore. Caleb began therapy through the church, his anger slowly softening. As for Sarah, she kept writing. But her words began to change. "Dear Diary, you've carried my pain, my secrets, my tears. But now, I think you'll also carry my hope. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but I know I'm still here. And that's something." The diary was no longer just a secret keeper. It had become a bridge, from brokenness to healing, from silence to survival. Sarah was no longer the quiet girl with hidden pain. She was a voice finding its strength. And the diary remained her everything. When Denise finally told James it was over, the house seemed to exhale. No more shouting in the night, no more slamming doors. He left with a suitcase and a glare that burned holes into Sarah's skin. "Y'all will regret this," James growled before stepping out. But Denise stood her ground. "We already regret the years wasted." That night, Sarah wrote, "Dear Diary, Daddy's gone. I don't know if I should cry or dance. Maybe both. Part of me still loves him, but most of me is just tired. At least Mama finally chose us instead of pretending." Life after James wasn't easy. Bills piled up. Denise worked double shifts at the hospital. Caleb struggled in school, his anger spilling out in fights. Sarah helped where she could, babysitting neighbors' kids, tutoring classmates. Still, every night, she poured her exhaustion into her diary. Dear Diary, sometimes I feel like I'm Mama's second spine. If I bend, we all break. But I can't bend. Not yet. Months later, James reappeared, not with apologies but with demands. He wanted joint custody. Denise refused. You don't just walk out and walk back in like nothing happened, she said. In court, Sarah was forced to testify. She clutched her diary in her lap until it was her turn. With trembling words, she told the judge about nights of shouting, neglect, and lies. James glared at her like she was a traitor. Sarah cried that night, writing until the ink smeared. Dear Diary, I told the truth. But telling the truth feels like betrayal when the liar is your own father. Caleb's anger grew. He was caught stealing sneakers at the mall. Denise broke down, shouting, I can't lose you two. Sarah stayed by his side. We're in this together, Caleb. Don't let his mistakes ruin us. Later, Caleb whispered, You're stronger than me, Sarah. But Sarah didn't feel strong. She only felt tired. Naomi became Sarah's anchor. They studied together, laughed together, dreamed together. One evening, Naomi asked, What's the dream, Sarah? What do you want for you? Sarah hesitated. To write, to tell stories, to make my words matter. Naomi grinned. Then start now. Don't just fill that diary, fill the world. Encouraged, Sarah submitted a poem to the school's literary magazine. It was about broken homes, hidden secrets, and silent strength. When it was published, she felt seen for the first time. Dear Diary, they read my words. Not just you, them. And they clapped. Maybe my pain can be more than pain. Maybe it can be power. One day, a letter arrived. It was from James. His handwriting was jagged, angry. Sarah, you've turned your mother against me. You think you're better than me? One day you'll see I was right. Families fall apart when children talk too much. Sarah folded the letter and slid it between her diary pages. Dear Diary, he still doesn't get it. Maybe he never will. But I won't carry his shame anymore. It's not mine. Denise slowly transformed. She joined a women's support group at church, started smiling again, and even joked with her children. I'm learning to live for me, she told Sarah. Sarah admired her mother's resilience. It made her believe healing was possible, even for her. After months of counseling, Caleb began to change too. He apologized one night, awkwardly, saying, I know I've been a mess, but I don't want to end up like him. Sarah hugged him. We're rewriting this story, remember? One devastating day, Sarah misplaced her diary. She searched every corner of the house, every bag, every desk at school. Panic gripped her chest. Dear Diary, if you're gone, I'm gone too. You're my history, my heart, my proof that I survived. 2 days later, Naomi handed it back with a sheepish grin. You left this in my backpack. Don't worry, I didn't read it. Sarah cried with relief, hugging both Naomi and the diary. As graduation approached, Sarah applied for colleges with writing programs. Denise beamed with pride. Caleb teased her. You gon' be famous one day, sis. Sarah smiled shyly. For the first time, she believed it too. Before leaving for college, Sarah asked to meet her father. They sat across from each other at a diner. You ruined us, she said quietly, clutching her diary in her lap. James sneered. I gave you life. No, Sarah replied firmly. Mama gave me life. You gave me pain, but I turned it into words. That's my gift. That's my revenge. She walked away, lighter than she'd ever felt. College was overwhelming but exciting. Sarah kept writing poems, essays, stories. Her professors praised her voice. Dear Diary, I'm building a new me. Every word I write is a brick in my foundation. One day, the world will read the pages you carried first. By her second year, Sarah's essay, The Secret of a Diary, was published in a national magazine. It spoke about silence, survival, and the healing power of writing. Readers across the country resonated with her words. Naomi called her in tears. Girl, you did it. You turned pain into purpose. Years later, Sarah returned home for Caleb's wedding. James wasn't invited. Denise walked her down memory lane, laughing more than she cried. That night, Sarah sat with her old diary. Its pages were worn, its lock fragile, but it was still whole. Dear Diary, you were my everything when I had nothing. You carried me when no one else could. But now, I'm ready to share my voice with the world. This is not goodbye, it's thank you. You saved me. And because of you, I know I'll never be silent again. She closed the diary gently and placed it in her drawer. Not as a crutch, but as a relic of her survival. Sarah Johnson was no longer just the girl with secrets. She was the woman who turned them into strength. And the diary remained, forever, her everything.